Good morning, friends. We are learning our subject Machine Learning 3170724. In that, we are learning our module 2, that is Preparing to Model. So, what we have studied in the last lecture, let us recall. What we have studied in the previous lecture, that was box and whisker plot. And what we have learned, that was we have found the quartile 1, 2 and 3. Quartile 2 is median, quartile 1 is median of first half, quartile 3 is median of second half, right? And what else? Lowest and highest, that is 5 data values we use for whisker plot, right? So now next what we want to learn is histogram. Histogram also helps us in effective visualization of numeric attributes. It helps in understanding the distribution of a numeric data into series of intervals termed as beans. The difference between box plot and histogram is histogram's main focus is on range of data. Based on that, since size of each bar corresponds to different ranges will vary. For histogram, what we say is the each bar is depending on the different ranges and that will vary. Focus on box plot is to provide data in 4 equal parts such that each part is having equal number of data elements. Histograms shape depends on nature of data, right? So now we want to know the histogram. That is, typically we used to say that frequency distribution of particular attribute. So let us see distributions and central tendency. A data set is a distribution of n number of scores or values. There are two type of distributions. One is normal distribution and second is skewed distribution. Here, normal distribution is where all values fall uniformly on both sides of center. Here in the figure, we can say this is the normal distribution. Why normal distribution? Because on the center, we are having mean, median and mode. And both the side, see this line at 8, this bar we can say, see at the left hand side and right hand side, both the way we can see the uniform distribution, right? That is, from the center, both the side we can see the uniform values falling, right? So in such distribution, we used to say that mean, median and mode, all three are at the same place, right? That is at the same point. Now skewed distribution. What is that? Skewed distribution is where more values fall on one side of the center than other. And the mean, median and mode all differ from each other. We want to say that normal distribution means from the center Both the way we are having uniform values falling, but here in skewed distribution, more values fall either on the left side or on the right side of the center, right? So mean, median and mode all differ from each other. They do not find at the same place as in normal distribution, right? We can see here mode is here, median is here, mean is here, right? So for skewed distribution we can say more values fall either on the left hand side or on the right hand side. Now one side has a more spread out and longer tail with fewer scores at one end than the other. Okay, here we can see this is a tail, isn't it? Here you can say this is a tail. Okay, at the right hand side we are having a tail, right? So there we are having these smaller values. Okay, or we can say that we are having the fewer scores at the one end, right? At the one end we are having the fewer scores. The direction of this tail tells you the side of the skew. It will say the side of the skew. In a positively skewed distribution, there is a cluster of lower scores and a spread out tail on the right. On the right hand side, we are having the tail, and that is the positive skewed distribution. In a negatively skewed distribution, there is a cluster on higher scores, cluster of the higher scores, and a spread out tail on the left. That is in negatively skewed, right? In positively skewed, we are having at the right hand side. Now, in a positively skewed distribution, we can say mode is less than median is less than mean. Positive means mean at greater side, right? Or you can say it is greater. Positively means mean at the right hand side, okay, and tail also at the right hand side. In a negatively skewed distribution, this is negatively skewed distribution where the tail is there at the left hand side. Okay, for that we can say tail is left hand side. It means mean also is there at the left hand side. That means mean is less than median is less than mode, right? See, whatever is the distribution, median is always in the center because median is said as the center point of our data. So it is always there in the middle. If mean is at the right hand side, that means it is positive distribution. That means positive skewed distribution, and that means we are having tail also at the right hand side. Okay, and for negatively skewed distribution we can say mean is at the left hand side and tail is also at the left hand side. Okay, so keep that thing in your mind. Now these are the distributions and central tendency. Here you can say this seems almost uniform, right? Almost equal. We can say it is symmetric, uniform. This is symmetric unimodel where mode is one only. Maximum frequency we can find. So for that you can say one model is there. This is left skewed. We can see it is left skewed, right? Left skewed means mean at the left hand side, right? So mean is less than median is less than mode. Fine. Right skewed. Right skewed means what? Mean is at the right hand side. So mode is less than median is less than mean, right? Bimodal. Bimodal is where we are having the two modes. We are having the two modes available. Multimodal is where we are having the multiple modes available, right? Now, exploring categorical data. Next, we want to know is exploring categorical data. Now, what does that mean? As we know, for categorical data, mode is used for finding the central tendency. Otherwise, that is, if the numeric data is there, that is, we can say interval or ratio type, we are finding mean, median, and mode, right? Okay, so model with the unique mode is called the unimodal. Model with the many modes is called the multimodal. And yes, model with two modes is called the bimodal. So, exploring the relationship between variables. So, this is what we'll do a little bit later. Let us first see the histogram, which we have just seen, right? This we have just seen. So, let us see the histogram using our program. Okay. So, let us see here in our IPYNB file using Jupyter Notebook. So last time what we have done was we have imported the libraries. Then after we have loaded the data. This is what we have done last time. We have seen the columns of it, right? Then after we can say we wanted to see top 5 rows of the data. Then we wanted to see the columns separately. We wanted to have the box plot data, or we can say that quartiles, right? Quartiles data we wanted to have, so we use the describe, right? Then after say we wanted to know the index, then after we wanted to know the size, then we have drawn the box plot, right? This is what we have done in the previous lecture, right? Now what we want is we want to have the histogram, that is the frequency distribution. Okay, so here we can say distribution of the data. What data? Here we are using the car underscore mpg csv file, right? So for that we can say we have to use sns.displot. Now what is this sns? If you remember, we have imported the Seaborn library as SNS. With that, we'll be drawing the distribution plot. Fine. So for that, we can say sns.displot, and of what we want to see, that is df of our column, that is displacement. For whatever column we want to see the histogram, we just have to provide it here. Fine. So let me draw this. Okay. For drawing the plots, I mean for any type of graph, typically we are using the matplotlib library, SNS, or any other type of graph library, right? Whenever whatever is useful, that we will see, right? Just now we have seen this is the frequency distribution. We can see that here for displacement, we'll be able to see the largest value for this 100, right? After that, we can say which type of tail we can find it here is, it is skewed distribution, isn't it? But right hand side, right? Right hand side skewed distribution we can find, right? Let us see the values, that is, a second. What happened? Yeah. Here. Okay. We can find the mean using say df dot mean. So it will give the mean for particular column, right? If we want to find the df mean for a particular column, we can provide that. Okay. So how we can provide df of what we have tried? Displacement, right? Displacement, that we have to write in the single quote, right? This is the column name, fine. Then after, what was the displacement? See, when we have tried for without giving any particular column name, there we got it as 193.425879, right? So let me run this. So same thing we are getting here, right? So if we want to get it for each and every column, we could use it as df dot mean. And if we want to get it as say single column, we can provide it as this one. Okay, fine. So now what we want to know is mean, then we can say median, and that mode, right? Let us see. Oh, this is mean. Then let us copy from here. So we just have to apply the function, isn't it? This is median, and then after the mode, right? Median is always in the center. Okay, median is always in the center, right? So where is the value? We know that if the distribution is positively skewed, for this, from this figure we can see that it is positively skewed, right? So what do we say about that? Let me show you here. Let it be marked down so we can write the text for it. We know that for positively skewed data, that is distribution, right? Distribution, we can say positively means mean is at the right hand side and tail is also at the right hand side. So I'll be doing this way. Then I can say this is median, and then after I can say here it should be mode, right? It should be there for positively skewed distribution. We know that mode is less than median is less than mean. Can we see the same thing here? Mean is 193. So it is having the bigger value. This mode is 97. So can we say that 97 is less than 148.5 is less than 193? Yes, that is the positively skewed distribution, and that's what we are getting this condition. Right? So let us see the same thing, that is whether the particular column is having the skewed distribution or normal distribution or whatsoever, right? So for that, let us see. This was for displacement, right? This was for displacement. Let us see for others, right? So we can have the idea. Here, let us see what are the other columns. Cylinders, right? Cylinders, yes. Let us run this. This is the distribution, right? This is the distribution. Now let us do the same thing here. That is, we want to find the mean, median and mode. I do not know what type of distribution it is, right? Let me, we can see that in the histogram. Let me show you that using the values, right? Mean, median, mode. Now this is that dot mean. Then we can say we want to have the median, and then after we want to have the mode, right? Let us run this. What values we are having? Oh, we haven't written print, right? Print. This is mean, right? Then second is median. Here, yeah, at the end, isn't it? So this is median, and let us see for this print. Yeah, print here mode, right? So let us run this. 5.45 is mean, right? It is maximum value. So what we are having here is for cylinders, we are having the value that is mean is at the right hand side. Then after we can say median is always in the center, right? And what do we say is it is less than the mode? Is it so? No. It is this way, isn't it? Isn't it? What do we say is it is like this. Okay. Still it is, we can say that mean is at the right hand side and it is skewed distribution. What sort of? Positive, right? But for mode and median we can say they are at the same point here. Oh, no. We are having the two modes. They are 0 and 4. They are 0 and 4. Not only one mode. We are having bimodal, right? It is not having 4. It is having two values, 0 and 4, right? So what do we say is what do we say? It is the bimodal, but it is positive skewed distribution, right? Positive skewed distribution. Fine. Now we can try for any other column. Same thing. I'm just getting it from here, copying and pasting, right? Why? Because we just want to change the column name and we want to see the distribution of any other what? Column, right? Say horsepower. Okay, let us that also copy from here. So that will be better for us. Let me put it here instead of cylinders. Now I am giving it as horsepower. Fine. Here also we'll be doing the same thing. So this is horsepower, right? Now let us see the value. What it gives us, here it gives us 104.46, then 93.5, and this is 150, right? 150. Let us see the distribution first of all, right? So what was that? It is cell labo, right? What do we say is SNS dot what to do? Distribution. What was that? This plot, right? This plot. And what we should give is VF of horsepower, right? Let's see what it gives us. That is also positively skewed distribution. Okay, positively skewed distribution. And what we say about the mode? We say that mode is 150, right? Mode is 150. Is it so? 150. Can we find that here? Right here, right? We can see whatever values are there. See, from this distribution, we cannot say that it is having this only. Fine. It is having this value only. We cannot say that. Fine. So here also we'll see the mean at the right hand side, and that is why it is positively skewed. Fine. Okay. So now if we want to find the unique values for a particular column, so for that, we can use counts is equal to df dot n unique. When you run this, we'll be getting unique values for that particular column. For MPJ, it is having 129 unique values. For cylinders 5, for displacement 82, for weight 351, for origin 3, right? So these are the unique values available in those columns, right? If we want to count that for each row, then we need to specify it as axis is equal to 1. By default, it is axis is equal to 0. So for column, it counts. Okay. So if we want to have for row, we can say we have to write df dot n unique axis is equal to 1. Right. So we'll be able to get the values for each row. Okay. Cumulative frequency, right? That also we have seen. So for that we can say count we want to have, right? Let's say that print df of mpg value underscore counts. What does that mean? Let us see this first, then after we'll do the cumulative frequency. What do we mean by cumulative frequency? That is, say for one column it is 5. For second column, it is 2. So cumulative, if we do, then 5 plus 2, that will be 7, right? So for first column, it will be giving 5. For second column, instead of 2, it will be giving 7. Why? Because we want to have the cumulative frequency. If for the third one, if we are having, say, 7, then you can say that 7 plus 7, so 14 will be there. So let me first show you. I'll show you with the example here. Here in this particular example, that is df of mpg value counts, it is counting the value, right? So for 13, you can say that it is available 20 times. For 14, it is available 19 times. Where? For this particular column. For mpg column, 18 is found 17 times, right? Okay. So what is the case? 20 is for 13, 19 is for 14, 17 is for 18, 16 is for 15. Right now, if we want to do the cumulative, what we have to do is we have to use the CumSum, right? Or you can say CumSum, whatever. Cumulative, if you want to use, then you may see it as CumSum or CumSum, whatever you say. What that will give you? See, for 13, it is 20. That we can see here also. For 13, it is 20. This is a frequency or count, you can say. Okay. Now, for 14, it is 19. Now, what is there in the cumulative? We will add that value to the first one. Right? So, 20 plus 19, that will be 39. Okay. Now, for 14, it is, no. Yeah. Okay. Now, for 18. For 18, it is 17. Right? So, what we have to do is 20 plus 19 plus 17. Right? Cumulative it is that. Okay. So for that, what we'll be getting is, we'll be getting it as 56. Right? So this is cumulative frequency. At last, what should be that? That is the total number of values. Right? And it is 398. If you do not remember, let me show you that. Let us say I'm having the DF. Okay. So what it is having is 398 rows, right? So when we do the cumulative frequency, then we'll be getting it as at last whatever are the number of records available to us. Fine. So same way you can say that if we want to get the car names with their frequency, we can say df of name dot value underscore counts. Fine. Let me run this. So say Ford Pinto 6, Ford Maverick is 5, Toyota Corolla is 5, right? This way we are able to see the count, okay? Value counts. And if we want to have for cylinders, we can have this way. If we want to have cumulative frequency, what should we do is, yeah, what should we do is, let us have this frequency available, that is a count available, and then we have to use it, the thumb sum, right? Cumulative sum, actually, we can say. Fine. So we'll be able to see it as 6, then 11, then 16, and at last we can see it as 398. If it is not the 398, that is for this particular data set, number of records is 398. So that must be there at the end. Otherwise, we have made some mistake, right? So here also says cell below. What we'll be doing is, for this one, that is for cylinders, we can have the cumulative frequency, that is using value counts dot cum sum, right? Okay, 204, 307, 398, 91, 395, and 398. Okay, now let us proceed to this. Now we want to now know the relationship between variables. Okay, we want to know the relationship between two variables. So how can we do that? For that, we'll be using two things. One is we'll be drawing this scatter plot, and second is two-way cross tabulation. To find relationship between two categorical variables, right, that we'll be using. Now, a cross tabulation computes frequency table of factors. A cross tabulation or cross tab is a two or more dimensional table that records the number, that is frequency of correspondence, that have the specific characteristics described in the cell of the table. So what should we see is, we should see the cross tab result in car MPG dataset, where we'll see in our Python file, right? We can see that, understand it, isn't it? When we learn the theory, and with respect to that, if we see the practical, we can understand that very easily, nicely, right? Let us have one simple example, then we'll show you for our real data set. Okay, so let us say that very simple example. A is equal to numpy dot array. Numpy is known to you, right? Numpy, numeric Python, okay, dot array. So for creating the array, typically we are using it, and many more useful functions are available for numerical Python, right? So numeric, whatever operations we use, many of the things, or we can say almost all things, are available in NumPy. Okay, and if we want some more, we can say for scientific calculations, we'll be using the SciPy. Okay, fine. So numpy.array foo bar foo. The data is given. Okay, and d type is equal to object. For B, we are having 1 and 2, and for C, we are having dull and shiny, right? Now, what we want is, we want to have the cross tab, right? So what I am doing is pd dot cross tab. What is pd? What is pd? When we have imported the pandas, at that time we have returned import pandas as pd, right? So that pd dot cross tab. Now what do we want is A and BC. With that, we want to find the relation. So we can say row names is equal to A and column names is equal to B, C, right? This is what we want to find. So now what result we are getting is A, right? A. Then after B and C, right? B and C. For that we can say B means 1 and 2, right? Means combination of values are there, but that is of 1 and 2, right? Then here we can say this is for B1, we can have C as dull or shiny. Then same way for 2 also we can be having dull or shiny, right? Now for A, now what we are having is, for A we are having bar and 4, two values, two unique values are there. So that's what we have written here. Now here we can say A is bar, then C is dull, and B is 1. For that we can say we can find count as 1. Are you getting this? A value is bar, C value is dull, and B value is 1. If it is so, then we can find 1 count. For bar is for A is bar, then we can say C is shiny and B is 1. Then you can say the frequency count is 2, right? Got the point? So this way the cross tabulation is being found, right? That is a frequency. It gives us the frequency count, okay, under the two variables relation, two or more than that, okay. So now same way, if we want to find the cross tab of say DF of cylinders and origin, we can say this is cylinders and here it is origin. For origin we are having 3 values, that is Europe, Japan and USA. For cylinders we are having say 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, right? So now when the cylinders are 3 and Europe is there as the origin, what is the frequency count? It is 0. For cylinders 3 and Japan is there as origin, what is the count? That is 4, right? For cylinders is equal to 3 and the origin is USA, then the frequency count is 0. That's what it is finding, right? That's what it is finding. Let us have the cross step for other, that is for cylinders and model year. Let us run this. So we are able to see output, right? This is for cylinders. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Whatever are the unique values for that. And for model year, you can say 70, 71, up to 82, right? So according to this and this, whatever is the frequency count in the data that it counts and put it here. So we can see the relation between these two variables, fine? It can be more than that. In the example only we have seen 3, right? A, B, C. Okay. So you can use that to find the relation. Fine. Now let us go to again PPT, right? So cross tab we have seen for car underscore MPG data as well as one small example also. Now, data quality and remediation. What is that? Success of machine learning algorithm depends on the quality of data. If supervised learning, then you can say it is not realistic to expect flawless data. At least 2 types of problem can be there. Quality is not there, then what will happen, right? Or what are the reasons by which we can say that we are not getting the quality? That is, certain data elements without any value. No value is available. You can say missing value. Value is not available. Data elements are having values that is surprisingly different from other values, which is termed as outliers. Like you can say that all students in your class are very intelligent. They are typically having the percentage, that is you can say more than 70. But few are there in your class, they always fall below 50 percentage. And you can say few are always higher than the 90 percentage, right? So they are called the outliers. They are significantly or surprisingly different from the other values, right? Either they are very intelligent or they are too dumb, right? So these are the outliers. There are multiple factors which lead to the quality issues. What are they? Incorrect sample set selection. As for example, cells at the time of festival is chosen to predict future cells. Cells at the time of festival. See, this is said as incorrect sample set selection. Why it is incorrect sample set selection? Because as we know that at the time of festival, typically the sales is high because people are purchasing the clothes, or you can say sweets, or you can say whatever. But typically at the time of sales is high, right? Typically at the time of festival, sales is high. And if we have chosen that as our sample data, and from that if we are predicting, then you can definitely say that will be able to predict wrong things, isn't it? Will be able to predict the wrong things because the sample what we have collected is of a particular festival, or you can say where typically the sales is high. So if we are taking such thing, then definitely it is going to give us the wrong result. But if we have taken the mixture of the time of the data, then we could be predicting the right result, isn't it? So next is trying to predict poll results by not choosing proper mixture of age, education, sex, ethnic diversities as training data. We are not choosing particularly, that is mixture, age, education, sex, ethnic diversities, all this mixture should be there, and then after we should be predicting the result. Otherwise, it will be wrong, or you can say it will be incorrect sample set, isn't it? That will not give us the right prediction results. Errors in data collections. In manually entering the data, there can be the mistake of spelling, of unit, of length. For example, instead of mm, you have written only m or cm, right? Manually, when entering the data, see, humans are there to make the mistakes. Okay, so such thing can be there. So errors is there in the data collection. Data segments have abnormally high or low values in data collections. Such records are termed as outliers. It also happens that data is not recorded at all. Data is not recorded. So there we can say missing values can be there, right? Missing values can be there. So remediation is the act of correcting an error or stopping something bad from happening. The problems in data quality is remediated by handling outliers, handling missing values, right? Once the outliers are detected, amendment is to be there. So how we can do that? That is, one is remove outliers, second is imputation, and third is capping. We'll see that in detail. So how to handle the missing values? That is, first is by eliminating the records having the missing values, imputing the missing values, and the third one is estimating the missing values. So for data quality and remediation, that's what we are learning. Let us see for outliers, that is, first is remove outliers. So how we do that, or what we do for them? If outliers records are not too many, remove them. let us say that we are having, say, 100 data. In that, if say one or two are outliers, they are considerably low in comparison to the whole records. We can say here total 100 data is there. In comparison to that, if we are having one or two outlier data, then we can ignore them, isn't it? If so, then what we will do is we'll remove them, right? Simply remove them. No need to consider them. Okay. Second one is imputation. That is, we can say the values can be imputed using mean, median, or mode, or most similar data element. The values can be imputed, right? Say for data, typically in your data you are able to find the data that is in the range of say 10 to 20, but suddenly you could find it as say 100, and you can say 1000, you can say it is outlier, isn't it? It is outlier. So what we do is, instead of removing, why we should not remove, say such thing is found in say 40% of the data, that is from 100, in 40 records we could find such outlier, so we cannot remove them, isn't it? So what we do is, we can be replacing that with the imputation. That is, we can say that by imputation by mean or median or mode or most similar data element, right? The third way is, we can say, capping. What is that capping? For the values that lie outside the 1.5 IQR. What is IQR? Interquartile range, right? Interquartile range. So if so, that is outside the 1.5 IQR, then we can cap them by replacing those observations below the lower limit. If it is below the lower limit, if we are having the box plot, we can say we are having the box plot. Let us say this is the box plot, and which is there in the 1.5 IQR. The values which are outside this, if they are lower or if they are higher, then what we do is, here whatever values are there at the right hand side, we'll replace that value with this one, this border, that is say 95 percentile. For the values which are less than the 1.5 IQR, will replace them with say 5 percentile data, right? So whatever data is available here, with that we will replace. Okay. So that is called the capping. That is called the capping. Data quality and remediation for handling missing values. For them, what do we say is, eliminate records having missing values. Missing values in a tolerable limit, then remove those records. Fine. Imputing missing values. Missing values are imputed by mean, median, or mode. Similar types of observations. Values that are also used for imputation. The third one is, the way to handle missing values is estimate missing values. If there are similar data points as missing values, then the values from those points will be used for missing value imputation. For finding similar data points, distance function is used. For them, distance function is used. Okay. So let us see one program for this. So how to find the missing values? For that, we can say cross tabulation we have already seen, right? So what we want is, we want to find the missing values in the data. So how we can find that? That is using df.isnull.sum. So when we are doing is null, it will find the missing values, and dot sum, that means it will give us the count. So here, when I run this, I'm getting the count, missing values count for that particular column. For only horsepower, we are having 6 missing values. And if you remember, when we have seen the description of this data, there it was there that horsepower is having 6 missing values. Let me show you that. When we have seen the description, at that time we have seen that missing attributes, that is horsepower has 6 missing values, right? So what we can say is 6 missing values are there in our horsepower, right? So how to replace this? How to replace this? Now, first of all, let me show you the DF. That is the original one, right? Where the missing values are there. So total 398 rows are there. Now what I'll do is df.drop_na. So I'll drop those records where missing values are there and storing it in dropped, because df will not be changed. If you want to store the result, you have to store it in the other variable, right? So after that, let me have this, and let me print this drop_na. Okay, sorry, dropped, that is this one. Say dropped, OPPED. Okay, run this. Now what we can see here is 392 rows. 6 rows are being removed, right? 6 rows are being removed. Again, if I see the DF, it will show me 398 rows. Means we have replaced and that is what is being removed? No. Whatever you have replaced, that is the records you have removed, that is there and stored in the variable that is dropped, right? That is there in the dropped. While we do df.drop_na, it will not change your data frame. But if you want to store the result, we have to store it in the other variable, right? So this is the way we can drop the records which are having missing values, or you can say if you are trying for outlier, that is if it is detected, then we can remove that. Fine. So that's all for today.